Welcome. I'd like to thank Torah Anytime again for this incredible platform, and also thank the Neve for this platform as well. Baruch Hashem. Today I want to speak about an incredibly important topic, which is practical steps how to change. How are you going to change? Okay. Now, very important idea. The word neshama, which is the word soul, is the same letters as mishaneh, which means change. Neshama and mishaneh, change, is the same because we are in the world to change. That is from Rav Moshe Meir Weiss. That's what we're here for. I would like to add to that when you do change, you're using your neshama and identifying with it. Okay? When you don't change for the good, you're using your body and identifying with that. So it's all about doing what you can to change in a positive way, and then you're actually activating your neshama and doing it in the right way, which is an incredible thing. Okay, everyone has to recognize that we're here in the world to change and become better, not to stay the way we are. Good. Now, the first step in change, and this is not in any particular order, but this one is a very important idea. This is the first thing you need to do, really, is once you decide what change you want to make and what change you think needs to be made right now, the first step is to first install in your mind and in your heart the firm belief that you can do this and that you will do this. Install in your mind and in your heart the firm belief that you can do this and that you will do this. What I mean is the following. If you have the ability, we spoke about this almost many times before, if you have the ability to do something, but your belief in your ability is below that, you will not achieve beyond what you believe. So if you don't believe you can change, even though you actually can, you will not change. So you can have all the skills and all the help and everything you need, but you will not make that change because you think you can't. It's as simple as that. So whatever change you want to make, you have to believe that you can actually do it. Now, part of believing it is actually picturing it, seeing yourself as that better version. That's part of the belief. But that's for a little bit later. Now, the next step is to research the topic. Get a feel. First, learn about what the thing is. Let's say I want to have humility. Okay, so what is humility? What does it look like? What does it not look like? What are the big mistakes that people make when they try to acquire humility? This is a false version of humility, or this is the negative result instead of humility. Learn about it without making any actual changes. Just get it intellectually clear in your mind as much as you can. Get a picture what it looks like overall. Get a picture what it looks like very specifically. That's going to help you know how to work on what you have to work on. That's a very big deal. So, for example, when it comes to humility to a Nova, humility has to be worked on in a certain way. It can't be worked on in other ways. Like sometimes humility can be worked on in a way that's, I'm not saying you should work on humility, but humility could be sometimes worked on, if you do it right, by external actions. But if it's done the wrong way, external action is just going to make you feel like, wow, I'm so much more humble than everybody else. So you have to make sure you do it right. You have to learn about it clearly. For a period of time, many years ago, I worked on humility, and it was completely wrong. I didn't get anywhere. I did the exact opposite. One of my mentors said to me, "Are you working on humility?" I said, "Me, I work on humility. Whatever." And he says, "You're doing it wrong." He says, "You're working on shiftless, which means lowliness." He says, "You're not working on humility," because I didn't have a clear picture of what I thought it was. You have to get very clear what humility is, or what patience is, or what silence is, or what kindness is. Then you know. Then you can work on it. Otherwise, you're internalizing something that's not correct. Very, very simple. You don't want to internalize anything that's incorrect. Good. Now, method number 1 of how to change. Those are the introductions. First decide I'm going to change. Install in your mind the firm belief that you can do this and that you will do this. And then research the topic to get a picture of what does it look like, what does it not look like, what are the big mistakes to avoid, what are the ways we can do this, and get a picture of what does it look like individually, what does it look like in the big picture as much as you can. Good. Now, the first method to change, and this way I think is the most certain and most definite way to change, it may be slow, but it's definitely the most certain way to change, is what they call the drip method. The drip method. What's the drip method? That means you have an idea in your mind, you review it again and again and again and again, and you let it drip from your mind into your heart. It goes from your mind into your heart, from your mind into your heart, from your mind, reviewing again and again and again and again in your mind, eventually goes into your lave, into your heart. And then it affects your emotions, and when it affects your emotions, your desires, it actually affects what you do. It affects your behavior. It affects your midos in general. Super important idea. That's the concept of Rabbi Akiva, a well-known idea that Rabbi Akiva said, I know a lot of Torah in my mind. You know, it doesn't say that Rabbi Akiva was 40 years old, v'lo lamadati. He didn't learn lamad. It says lo shanisi. The difference between loimed and shaina is that loimed means he knew Torah shebichsaf. He knew written Torah. But lo shanisi means he didn't have Mishnah, he didn't have Torah Shebaal Peh, and it wasn't internalized. He said, I learned a lot of Tanakh, I learned a lot of the written Torah, but it didn't have an effect on me. And I think like Torah is just stuck in my head. But he kept putting it on his mind and on his mind and on his mind. And he saw it just like the rock, the water dripping on the rock. Drip, 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 drip. Eventually had a tremendous influence, even though every dot of water, every drop of water is very soft and the rock is very hard. But every single drop of water takes a few molecules of rock with it. You do it again and again and again. So just like he saw, look, over a period of time, that the soft water can have an effect on the hard rock, then the hard words of Torah that I put on my mind can have an effect on my soft heart and can make me internalize the ideas. This is the most definite way to change. There's no question about it. How do you do that? So you learn about the topic, and then you make a short list of the points on that topic. Let's say it's anger. You say like all the horrible reasons why, all the horrible effects of anger. Anger causes problems with parnasa, with your income. It causes social problems. It causes physical problems and health issues. It causes mental problems. It drops a person's spiritual level. It makes him open to sin and to horrible sins that he would never do before. It is, the Gemara says that kol hakayis ki'ilu oived avodah zarah. If you get angry, it's as if you worship idols. It also says that if you come to the category of anger, you are definitely, no question about it, going to make a mistake. Same thing. So like you list, do I want to do that? I'm having so many problems right now. I'm so upset about this right now. Do I want to also get angry and add extra problems to myself? I definitely don't want to do that. But saying it once or twice is not going to do it. Saying it again and again and again, listening to the ideas, getting the ideas and reviewing myself again and again and again, that's going to make it internalized. Is it exciting? No. They say that fantastic accomplishment is always preceded by unfantastic preparation. It's always like that. It's always like that. Glorious achievement is always preceded by unglorious hard work. Simple as that. It's not... That's just how it works. You're in the kitchen working. Who knows what it looks like on the table? Looks amazing, right? But like you're in the kitchen, it doesn't look like a schmuck in there, right? Okay. Now the way to do this is to make a list of things and say this list to yourself every day. What I like to do, I like to dog things, is like to take an idea of this list and record it. Record each statement again and again and again, and just listen to it as I travel. I put it on my phone, I put it on something MP3. As I'm traveling, I'm walking, I'm exercising, or in my car, whatever it is. I don't have a car, but if I had a car, that's what I would do. Yeah, just again and again and again. And it goes into your mind in a deep way. Ideally, the best time to do this is when you're going to sleep and you're waking up. In the morning, as soon as you wake up, the first 5 minutes, and 5 minutes before you fall asleep, your mind is more open to suggestion. The subconscious and the conscious are more in line. So it's a very good idea if you can at that time to listen to these things or to review them in your mind. If you have a list that you look at every single day, you won't even need any type of recording or list. Eventually you'll memorize the list. Now this could be anything. This doesn't have to be a midah. It could be, look, I have to exercise. So you memorize the values of exercise, or control my eating, or it could be anything. I want to be more organized. The advantages of being organized. Could be anything. Doesn't make a difference what it is. You're working on your motivation and your inner vision, your inner feeling about that idea, about that action, about that character trait, whatever it is. The other thing, which is part of the drip method, is to link pleasure to the new behavior and pain to the old behavior. So if getting angry is what I want to avoid, you have to picture, gosh, how many times I embarrassed myself when I got angry. How many times I had to eat humble pie and say, I'm sorry because I got angry. Yeah? And how many times I was so happy that I was able to hold my tongue. Not a small thing at all. It's a huge thing. So if I can picture that and memorize and internalize how bad it is to do the bad behavior and how good it is to do the good behavior, Let's say the other way around. Let's say good behavior. Like, I was never careful about eating. Now I am. I was never on time. Now I'm on time. I always went to sleep late. Now I'm going to sleep early. And I'm getting up early. So see how gewaltig it is to be able to go to sleep early and get up early. How chaval it is to be exhausted the next day. Again, another day, I went to sleep too late. Oh, I shouldn't have done that, yeah? And you will naturally, that develops a will, a ratzon, a desire, and your desire will pull you away from the negative behavior and pull you towards the positive behavior. You don't want it. You don't want that. It's not your thing. I don't want that. No, thank you. I don't want to touch that with a 10-foot pole. Well, I don't want to do that. A lot of the guys in the yeshiva, sometimes they work out. And they say, I'm going to go kill myself in the gym and then lose it in the kitchen? No way. I'm not doing that. You know what I'm saying? Whatever they do, I want to be able to see the six-pack. I'm not saying that's important, you know what I'm saying? But if he's doing all the exercise, he wants to be able to see it. They get the idea. It's like, I'm not doing that. Okay. This takes a minimum of 40 days. 6 months to a year is even better, but 40 days is Yetziras Vlad. That's the amount of time that it takes for a fertilized egg to actually become a proper entity, recognizable as a tiny, tiny baby. Is 40 days. 40 days is the amount of time that Moshe Rabbeinu received the Torah, which is a new reality in 40 days. Hashem made it rain for 40 days and 40 nights. Because when it flooded the world, the Mabul, because it was like a new start. It's a reset. So 40 is the minimum, really, 40 days. I had a chart on my wall over here for a while of a certain way of making a new habit. I believe the current research says 66 days. That's on average. Now, to do something every day for 66 days is not an easy thing. To not miss a day is very hard. But even if you miss a day, you still have the habit basically formed. You have to keep going and keep going and keep going. I remember complaining to one of my Rabbis, Rebbe, I'm working on this for 6 weeks already, which is 42 days, I still don't have it. He's like, 6 weeks? It takes 6 months. It takes 6 months. It takes a year. Just keep going. Yeah, Bez Hashem, you have plenty of time to work on these things. It's super, super important. And it's a slow and steady wins the race. No question about it. Good. By the way, I'm so into this that if you would actually have a topic that you'd want to listen to certain things about, I'm happy to make a recording for you. Gather some information, make a recording of short quotes, or lahavdil psukim from the Torah, or my Mari Chazal statements from the rabbis, from the Gemaras, the Midrashim. I'm very happy to do that. I've done it for people in the past. It's fantastic. Good. That is step number one, method number one, the drip method. Now, similar but not the same is called affirmations or afformations. An affirmation is a statement that I already am the way I want to be. So if I'm really a disorganized, sloppy person, I say every day, I'm so organized. I'm put together, I'm organized, I'm neat. You'll tell me it's sheker, it's not true. How could you say something's not true? So first of all, I'm not advertising to anybody else. I'm only advertising to myself, right? What I'm trying to do by doing this is internalize a new vision of myself. If I see myself as a certain way, which we're going to talk about soon, that will lead me to acting in a different way. I'm going to mix a couple of different things over here. So if you're totally disorganized, say to yourself, I am an organized person. I'm very organized. Now you see that you're not, right? But if you keep telling yourself every day, I'm organized, I got my act together, I plan ahead, I put things where they belong, I have a system, right? Even if you don't, you're eventually going to start to fall in line with that vision that you have of yourself. Wait, I'm an organized person. I can't just drop my hat wherever it falls. I can't just put this there, I'll take care of it later. I'm an organized person. Ooh. Yeah? It changes. You've changed your identity, which we'll talk about soon. Okay? Now, there's two ways of doing this. You say, I am an organized person. You can also do a slightly different version, which is called afformations, which is that you say the same statement in a question form that assumes it. So instead of saying I'm such an organized person, you say, how did I manage to become so organized? How do I pull off being so patient every day? How did I do that? Right? How do I do that, right? Every single day you do that. Now, I don't know why this works, but it's kind of like a cheap sales trick that works on your brain. And your brain buys it. That's why questions are so powerful. So he's like, how did you manage to become so kind? I'm the cruelest person on the planet. Wow. Yeah. Since when have I been so honest? Yeah. You just keep asking the question, assuming what you are. And that goes in. It gets around the stubborn brain that says, well, no, you're not. You're dishonest, you're that. Like, when you ask them the question form, it just somehow gets around. Okay, now, a similar thing which you mentioned before, and goes together, is to envision yourself in a certain way. Have absolute clarity what it looks like in your mind to act with patience. Let's say, for example, so if every time there's a certain person that really gets your goat and gets you really upset, and like you lose it, you get angry, or a certain situation that frustrates you, or a certain situation where you just feel like giving up, whatever the situation is, picture yourself with as many details and clarity as you can, as many details, as real as you can. Make it real. Picture in your mind, I'm feeling the emotions, I feel what my clothes feel like, I feel like the heat in the room, I feel like the wind and the air and the light, I feel everything in the room, and the person and the emotions inside, and I'm picturing passing that test with flying colors. Totally making it. 100%. I passed the test. Yes, I kept my mouth shut. Yes, I was kind. Yes, I helped that person. Whatever. Yeah, 100%. I was 100% organized. Yes, I was focused, and whatever it is. When you picture yourself enough that way, you actually become that way. This has two purposes. It builds your belief in yourself, because your subconscious mind can't tell the difference between reality and fantasy. So you've been picturing doing it, so your subconscious mind, which is where your emotions come from, believe that you're actually doing it. You picture that you've done it 1,000 times. I've done this 1,000 times. I got this. Even though you haven't even done it once. But you picture as if you have, you believe in it. It's a big thing. The second thing is it changes your identity. Now, what's your identity? It was once said by a wise man, identity is how you see yourself, how you define yourself. And they said the strongest force in the human personality is the need to remain consistent with your identity, with how you see yourself. I'll say it again. The strongest force in the human personality is the need to remain consistent with your identity, with how you see yourself. That means if you see yourself as a kind, loving friend, you'll do so many things to go long and far to be kind and loving to your other friends. Because I'm a kind, loving friend. And if you see yourself as like selfish, I don't help my friends, I'm selfish. Yeah? If you see yourself as honest, you go out of your way even to your own detriment to be honest. Because that's who you are. Now, there's a very famous story about this. I heard the story from Tony Robbins. Interesting story, right? Very simple story. It's a stupid metaphor, and it's not very satisfying in the end. So I'm telling you right now, it's a stupid metaphor, and it ends in a stupid way. Okay, so don't be like, that's your big metaphor. Like, it's not inspirational. It just illustrates the point very well. There was a frog and a scorpion, and scorpions sting and kill frogs. And the scorpion doesn't swim. The scorpion says to the frog, listen, I need to get across this lake. I'll pay you $30 to give me a ride on your back. Frog's like, listen, you're a scorpion. You can sting me. I'll be dead. No way. It's not worth the $30, right? Scorpion's like, listen, if I sting you in the middle of the way, you're gonna die, and I'm gonna drown. Why would I do that? Frog's like, okay, but $15 up front. Okay, fine. So halfway, you sure you're not going to sting me? I'm sure I'm not going to do it, yeah. Halfway through the ride, sure enough, the scorpion stings the frog. And as the frog is going into anaphylactic shock, I can't say the word properly, whatever it is, right? And he's, why'd you do it? Why'd you do it? He says, because I'm a scorpion, and scorpions sting frogs. End of story. What's the idea? The idea is a person would rather die than give up their identity. That's who I am. I don't want to get across the lake and say, like, well, I didn't sting a frog. That means I'm not a scorpion. That means it wasn't a scorpion who got to the other side. It was somebody else. I lost myself. I'd rather die than lose my identity. Not saying it's the smartest thing in the world, right? The identity should be whatever Hashem wants. That's my identity, right? But, so if you can somehow change your identity, you see yourself in a different way, your actions will fall in line with how you see yourself. Yeah, I'm an adventurous person. Hey, you want to go skydiving tonight? Yeah, let's go. By the way, the first time you go skydiving, don't go at night. But if you see yourself as adventurous, you'll do it. Well, that's who I am. I'm all about adventure. Even though I'm scared. I'm scared. Yeah? No, but that's who you are. Okay, that's identity. Now, Another way which also overlaps, but it's a different way of acting, is to act as if you already have this character trait. Act as if you already are holding by this action or this habit. Now this is interesting because there's a certain resistance inside of our minds that say, like, who do you think you are? You know, you're so kind at the kiddush. You're so nice to all these strangers that this new person at the shul or in whatever in the group that you're in, like, and you're saying now all of a sudden you're the one that goes over and say hello. Well, I know who you are. You're not that person. You say, yeah, I know I'm not that person. I'm just acting like one today. Yeah, the person in the kiddush club is paying me to be the friendly person because the friendly person's out of town this week. So they're paying me. I get to act this way. Or it's just part of a play. Now, when you're in a play, you're in a drama, you can act like anybody. You don't need permission. So give yourself permission right now. From now on, I'm going to act like I'm a kind person, like I'm organized. Wake up the next morning. I know really I'm a completely disorganized mess, yeah? But I'm going to act for the next couple of days like I'm super organized. Not to anybody else, to myself. Before I go, I make sure all my lunch is misudar, in my backpack, I make a little list of what I'm going to do today, I'm just pretending. It's not real. Yeah, it's not real. Rabbi Victor Miller says, it's a very good idea to fool your wife. Or your husband. What does that mean? Try to show your wife or your husband that you're a tzaddik or a tzedekus. Act as if you are. Be really kind and sensitive to them. Yeah? Go out of your way to help them. You just keep on fooling them until 120. That's great. I love it. Yeah, it's just great. It's a funny thing also because we really have all these rules inside of our minds. It's like, I can't act that way. It's not who I am. It's not true. It's not honest. I'm not trying to fool anybody else. I'm not trying to fool anybody. Yeah, just acting. Now, Leonard Nimoy, Spock, the logical one from Star Trek, he said playing that role for so many years totally changed his personality. He became more of an intellectual person, maybe less emotional, whatever it was, because he played a certain role for so many years. It's a clear thing. It's role playing. So act as if. Practice small chesed at first. Maybe for 15 minutes I'll be kind. 15 minutes I'll act like I'm the Chavetz Chaim and don't speak Lashon Hara. Then slowly work up. Maybe 15 minutes here, 15 minutes there. Work up slowly. Okay? Further. This is kind of... I kind of mix two things together. One thing to say is to act as if without actually getting identity. The other way is to pretend you're someone that you're not. Pretend you're an actual character who owns the changes that you seek. I kind of mix them together. One is just the actions. You're not thinking about my identity, my character. And one is like, no. I am I am Rebbitzin so-and-so just for the week. Rebbitzin so-and-so. Or tzedekis, whatever you want. Some wonderful person. Pick whoever you want. I'm sorry, Menu. There's a wonderful book. I don't think you have it on the shelf. No, it's a different shelf. I believe it's called Why Aren't People Happy? Or Why Aren't... something like that. Or What's Wrong with Being Human? It's by Rav Yisrael Miller, Shlita. He's a grandson of Rav Victor Miller. And he says, you can become someone's secret Hasidic Rebbe. Don't tell anybody. But just pick a certain person that you see, and you're going to become their secret Hasidic Rebbe. What does that mean? It means you're going to pray for them. All day you're going to wish them well and be as kind and loving and supportive as you can. Don't tell them. By the way, I'm your new Hasidic Rebbe. You don't have to grow a long white beard or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to grow payas. That's fine, yeah? But exactly. Right? But you have to say secretly. That changes how you act towards them. It's going to change you in a deep way also. Okay, next. Now, this one I've alluded to also, but it's a different way of saying it. Be the way you want to be for 3-minute periods a day. 3-minute periods. Maybe I get angry all the time, but for 3 minutes, I'm going to hold it. No matter what happens, no matter how bad it is, this is my 3 minutes. Kid pours coffee on your brand new suit on the way out the door to an important interview. Baruch Hashem. Yeah, I love it. Looks kind of like, I don't know, reminds you of chocolate. I don't know, looks wonderful. My favorite color. Who knows why, yeah? Better than a sunburn. Who knows what? Yeah, like whatever it takes. This is my 3 minutes. I'm going to make it 3 minutes, no matter what. Now, women and men are excellent at doing this on shidduchim. You act like it's tzaddik for the whole date, or it's tzaddikus. Oh yes, how are you? Oh, would you like some more? Can I help you with that? Yeah, no problem. Yeah, fantastic. So you know how to do it. Everybody knows how to do it. 3 minutes, that's all. 3 minutes here, 3 minutes there. Don't overdo it. Keep a chart if you can. It's even better. And you're going to see several times a day. Build it up to 5 minutes or 7 minutes, 15 minutes. You know, the two things is that it makes a good habit. It makes a good habit, a habit of the good behavior, which is awesome. And then you start to believe in your ability to do it. It's an amazing thing. Now, a habit, let me just tell you a few things about habits. Motivation is what gets you started. Habit is what keeps you going. Motivation is what gets you started. Habit is what keeps you going. Another way of saying it is that we first make our habits, then our habits make us. Just do something in a habitual way, whether you feel it, you don't feel it, just do it and do it and do it. First you make the habit, then the habit makes you. Fantastic. I love it. Good. Further. Another way to do this is to model somebody else that you know that's already holding by this. What would Mrs. So-and-so do in this situation? How would she act? It's very similar to what we said before, playing a role, but it's someone specific. Oh, if Rabbi and so-and-so was in this situation, she would just be naturally kind to the child or to the neighbor or understanding or not take it personally. She would just take it in stride in a nice, natural, beautiful way. Sometimes having a vision of someone else who does it is a tremendous help. It's a dogma, it's an example, it's a living way of doing it. If you can find someone, even fantastic. Now, what you can do is you can also ask them when they're in this, ask them when you're in a tough situation, ask these people that handle the situations that's hard for you, if you're in the situation, what do you think? What would you be telling yourself? Now, some people just say, I don't know, it just wouldn't bother me. They don't even know what they're telling themselves. They're so unconsciously competent, they don't even realize what they're doing. So you have to kind of be able to find someone like, I don't know, it just doesn't bother me. You know, there's a person, a very, very strong personality that I know, a very strong person. He's a very, very good person. And someone asked him, like, listen, you're so good at changing your habits. Like, what do you do when you want to stop a negative habit? He says, like, just stop. Just decides it's easy for him. Now, not all people are like that. Yeah, he's got a very strong personality, very strong. He decides I'm not doing it. So it's hard to learn from a person like that. You have to find the person that went through the struggle and knows how. Oh, I overcame it. I used to be like this. Now I'm not. Now I changed. This is what my hardest problem. Yeah, I was like this. Those people, if you ask me, are the easiest ones to learn from. But sometimes just talking to somebody else who never had this issue, you could just get into their mindset. Like, well, what happens? Like you're in the store, and you buy something and it breaks. Literally, you open it from the package and it's broken, and you bring it back to return, and they tell you, oh, you broke this. We checked it before. It wasn't broken. It's like, I know that's not true. What do you think? What do you say? What do you tell them? You're like, I know what to tell them. Yeah. So but you said, well, ask that person, and they can often just tell you. Just by speaking to a person like that, you just get into their kishkis, you get into their mind, their worldview, and it helps you. Like, oh, I never looked at it that way. That's amazing. Okay, fantastic. Now, the other way to do this is to get a teacher or a guide. This is a very important idea. Now, a model is not necessarily part of our program. You just watch them and see what they do. Maybe you can ask them. A teacher doesn't have to be on our level at all. They could be way above us. And they should be. Ask them what to do in the situations that you find challenging. How do I handle this? I don't know what to do. Yeah? How do you view the situation? How should I view it? Ask them about their guidance, what to avoid. If you have an expert in a certain area, they're a teacher, they can usually tell you, these are the classic mistakes that people make. This is what you want to avoid. These are the 3 easiest ways to do it. Great coaches for sports, or even music teachers, or anything. And an expert in an area, especially a teacher, can tell you, I've been teaching this for 5 years, I can tell you, these are the 3 mistakes everyone makes. Or 50 years I've been teaching this. Don't make these mistakes. Or these are the easiest ways to get to this point. This skill, this idea. It's amazing. Now, sometimes it's a very simple thing. I'll just give you a very physical example. Both my father and my grandfather work with their hands. both grandfathers actually, and they said there's certain things you want to do when you want to. Just a very physical example. This is not even it's not a meter or character trait. They said if you're trying to screw something in, one thing into something else, and it doesn't go, sometimes you can put some soap on it. Take a bar of soap and put a screw into the bar of soap, screw it in there, like gets all soapy or something like that, and then try screwing it. It lubricates the screw. It's just a silly example, right? Little things like that. Sometimes you're trying to drill something into something that's smooth, and you can't get the screw in there. And the screw keeps. So I realized you could just take a little piece of clay or a plaster. They call it plastilina in this country. Clay. You put it on the place you want to put it. You put the screw into the clay. It holds the screw, and then you screw it in. It's little things like that. Yeah. Now those are just like little things that's not so important. But just like that works that way in physical things, it also works that way in character traits and habits. So let's say you're trying to control your eating habits, which I'm not saying you should start. Definitely don't start there. Yeah, it's a big thing. But so okay, well, I know that, somewhere around 11:30, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the morning, I get really hungry, right? So it's really hard for me. So you might want to make sure you don't buy the packages of donuts. They're not in the house. They're not there. Now, if you live in New York City in some place where there's a 24-hour place, you may be in trouble. You know what I'm saying? You make yourself some kind of, deal like, I don't leave the house after this point. I'm in pajamas, and I don't put on my clothes after this point. I'm not going to the store in my pajamas. Whatever, they might tell you things like that. Whatever it is, you have to figure out. Make yourself a chart. Chart can be very helpful also. They tell you certain tricks that they can tell you. Very good. Now, the next one is to get a buddy or a chavrusa. Someone else that's working on the same thing. This is super helpful. Sometimes you get a little competition going. Or sometimes you have a little chavrusa where oh yeah, this is really hard for me. I tried this. Yeah, I had the same problem. What'd you do? Oh, I did this. Oh, that's perfect. You help each other. What's great about this is that there's a concept called Ein Adam Choite V'loi Loi. A person doesn't sin unless he benefits from something. So I might want to eat something that's not kosher. And you might want to eat something that's not kosher. But you don't have any pleasure at all in me eating something non-kosher. I have no pleasure in you eating something non-kosher. So you can help me not eat it, and I can help you not eat it. Because I don't have your Yetzer Hara, you don't have mine. They may be very similar, but I don't have yours, you don't have mine. So me taking a bite of something that's not kosher it's not gonna help you. You can help me stop. Okay, now the next idea. By the way, competition can be great with two friends. I had a certain habit a long time ago. It was very hard for me to kick this habit, and the two of us, so I'm still friends with this person many years later, we made a contest. And we were Bachram in Yeshiva guys, and every 6 weeks or so we had to do a week of kitchen duty. So the deal was whoever has the highest number of infractions in this one area has to do by the next time the other guy's kitchen duty comes, has to do the other guy's kitchen duty. I'm like, there is no way I'm doing your kitchen duty. Yeah? And he's like, there's no way I'm doing your kitchen duty. Right? So I beat him by 1, and he had to do my kitchen duty. And he said, well, that's an infraction. He said, no, not. I said, would you do that in front of the Rosh Yeshiva? He said, a lot of things I wouldn't do in the Rosh Yeshiva, in front of the Rosh Yeshiva. Anyway, whatever it was, but it worked out. So that was for both of us, it was very helpful. Okay, now, the other thing is, which has come together, this is to get a supportive environment. Friends, a yeshiva, a seminary, a camp, a gym, Mussar Seder, support group, anything. Do whatever you can to get around other people that are working on the same thing. It is really important to avoid people that are not working on this and that are horrible on this. It's really important because you basically become like the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. You become the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So if you spend time with people that are really sloppy, you're going to think it's normal to be sloppy, and you're going to become sloppy. Now, it's not always that way. It's people you compare yourself to. A farmer who is a chicken farmer for many years, he doesn't start clucking because there's no connection between me and the chickens. That's not who I am. But people that you relate to, it's a very important idea to be around people that you relate to that are acting the way you wish to act. It's a very big deal. Very big deal. Like if I want to work on my anger, I don't want to be around angry people. It's horrible. Because I think that's normal. There's a wonderful story about an Ashkenazi guy who went to a North African Sephardi community many, many years ago. It was an old community. There's certain things about it he didn't like because, like, when they came to give the esrogim, it was like a bunch of esrog in a bag, and he just rolled it out. He didn't like that. But then he saw things he never saw before. It's incredible. He said there was a man who went up to daven to pray, to lead the davening, lead the prayers. And there was a little bit of like nonverbal grumbling among the people. No one said anything. And the man who went up to pray, to lead the prayers, went down. And then someone else went up to lead. And this Ashkenazi guy, like, what's going on here? Like, what happened? So he asked the man who went down, why'd you go down? He said, because 2 weeks ago, I lied about something and everyone found out. So they didn't want someone who lied once to be leading them in prayer. It was like, you lied and now you're going to lead us in prayer? Amazing. Yeah? So in that community, truth, emes, was so important that it was like, oh, don't lie. I mean, why would you, yeah? In America and Europe, I think it's the same thing. If you go through the door, a door in a store or something like that, a public place, and someone's behind you, you hold the door for somebody. It's shocking to just walk through the door and not hold the door. It's normal. You pick that up. So even if you're not you, I'm saying, even a person, a very lowly person, he may be a thief, but he holds the door because that's normal. So get around people that are doing what you want to do. Okay, we're almost out of time. Another way of saying, spend time with people who have mastered it. Good. Another idea, which is kind of similar, it's not like a mentor and it's not like a model, is to find a master of this subject and to interview them. They may be way above who we are. We can't imitate what they do, but they can give us tips that no one else can do. A trainer is one thing, but a master can tell you tips that, like what they call pro tips. These are like master tips. It's a completely different level. Okay, good. Another idea is to go to the opposite extreme for a period of time. If you're super, super lazy, be super, super energetic. If you're super angry, go super, super calm. Now, you have to be careful because if you do this too much and too intensely, you can freak yourself out a little bit. You can have, there was once a period of time I was a very idealistic Baal Tshuva, and I tried to do what's called a tinus dibor, which is to not speak for a few days. Now, there was nothing smart about that. You want to not speak for a period of time, do it for 5 minutes, maybe 15 minutes, maybe an hour, but that's about it. But I'm a talkative person, and the only time I'm quiet is when I'm upset. So the fact that I just acted like I was upset, I wasn't upset at all. The fact that I was quiet for so long made me feel so upset that I became actually like pretty depressed. It was horrible. Absolutely crazy. Yeah. I know another person who did that, was very talkative, and he was just 100% silent. And then he's spouting at the mouth for hours afterwards because he was so pent up. So that's not good either. Baal Tshuva mistakes. You have to be very careful. You have to do it in a balanced way and have a guide. That's why make these wonderful thing to start, but no good. Another way is to use a reward system or a fine system. Every time I do the right thing, I'm going to reward myself in a certain way. Every time I do the wrong thing, a certain fine. Now, you can't do this too intensely because you can't go from 0 to 100 in 1 second, right? If I'm getting angry 100 times a day, I can't expect to get angry like only twice a day now. So it could be the reward system has to be in line with where you are as you grow. If I keep track of my anger, I get angry literally 10 times a day. I say to myself, by the end of the day, if I only get angry 9 times, I'm buying myself a cake. Or give myself a beautiful hot shower, or buying myself something. Now, whatever it is, taking a beautiful walk or listening to a certain amount of music, whatever, something, who knows what, yeah? It's got to be legitimate with where you are. It's got to be in line with where you are. Has to be that way. But a reward system is a big deal. Now, the best way to reward yourself, if you ask me, is something with the body, because then you believe it. It can't just be in here, in your head. Well, my soul is benefiting. The body's like, yeah, but I'm hungry. Or I'm tired. Like, what do you mean? I didn't enjoy that. And you have to reward the body also in some form. Okay? Another way to do this is to keep a journal and track your progress. Very, very big deal. Now, this is a huge thing. If you can keep track of let's say it's a negative thing you're trying to avoid. So keep track of the number of times you go over on this and you make the mistake. Why is this so important? There's a sefer called Cheshbon Nefesh, and he says something amazing. He says, if you are making this infraction 50 times a day, And because you're working on this in such an intense way, you actually drop to 47 times a day. That is real progress. But you can't emotionally feel the difference between 47 and 50. It looks like the same. I messed up a zillion times. I messed up a zillion times. You can't tell. So if you're consistently over days and even a week dropping 3 from 50, I used to be 50, now it's consistently 47, that's real change. But you won't know that unless you keep track. So it's super important to keep track, this is one way, of your progress. Then you see, you know what? Last week I dropped by 2, down to 48. This week I dropped down to 46. Still seems like a lot, but that's 4 less. That's an 8% improvement. And this is what people do for Weight Watchers and stuff like that. Like they weigh themselves every week. They're like, wow, I only lost 2 pounds, but I'm losing. I'm not saying that's the most important thing, but that's an example. It's a very common example. Okay? The last thing, which is super, super, super important, is to pray for help. Pray for help. Hashem, please help me make this change. Yeah? I know you want us to change. Help me change, Hashem. Give me the extra boost. Give me the encouragement. Give me the wisdom. Give me the fortitude. Give me, when I fall off and I mess up, help me get back on the wagon. Help me do it. Help me, Hashem. I need you to help me. Okay? That is a very overly simplistic and brief version of ways to change. Be'ez Hashem is Rabbi Matzliach, and pick the ones that work for you. Certain methods will work for certain types of things you want to change. Others work better for others. You'll see that your own personality will match certain ones. This one works for me. That one doesn't work for me. I love models. No, model's not my thing. I need to be in a certain mode. No, mode's not my thing. The drip method. No, yeah. That works for me. That's one that works for me the best. Yeah? Okay? That's it. Be'ez Hashem should help us to make the change we need to make. We have time. Ad Me'av Esrim to work on it slowly. Work on it for 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, a year, sometimes 2 years. If you get tired of doing this for a period of time, take a little break, go back to it, switch it up, work on something else for a while, then go back again, do some review. It's a wonderful thing to do. Have a little refreshers, just like in professionals. Yeah, for CPAs, go back for certification again. More training, more doctor training, more whatever. Go back now and then, mix it up. You'll get better at it as time goes by.